Hello everybody, it's Colin Ellis here and welcome to another Culture and Coffee podcast for Monday the 6th of March 2023. I'm pre-recording this one. I'm about to jump on a long-haul flight to Europe, so I will be in the air at the time these normally go live. So it's Saturday morning in Melbourne here. It's early autumn here now. It's definitely still a chill in the air. The summer hasn't been the summer it would normally be in Australia, but that's alright. It's fine. It's not really, as a poem. It's something that I demand. A poem. Poem. Did you know the origin of poem? Probably talked about this. It's Prisoner of Mother England. That's where the name pom come from. That's where, for those of you outside Australia and New Zealand, that's how English are referred to here in Australia. Now I'm in Market Lane Coffee. It's a new branch of Market Lane Coffee. Market Lane Coffee is a bit of an institution. If you've ever visited Melbourne, one of the places you should go, and there are many. This is not the Melbourne tourism podcast. It's Queen Victoria Market. They've got a cute little place right by Queen Victoria Market. So if you are over there, to seek out Market Lane Coffee. And they've opened a new branch here on Sydney Road in Brunswick, which is in the northern suburbs. So it's probably where I am now. It's probably about 15-20 minute tram ride from the centre of Melbourne. I always think that you only truly get to know a place when you kind of get outside of the city limits. I said that recently when I recorded the podcast in Amsterdam, and I took a 20-minute walk outside seedy, dirty, real Amsterdam and found the cool suburbs. And it's the same here. Sydney Road is like a 2 or 3 kilometre road, I guess, with just every imaginable restaurant and kind of cafe that you can imagine. And tomorrow there's a festival here. My wife was telling me this morning. So they kind of close off the street and have live music. Pretty cool place. It's going to be really hot this weekend. So that's good. So yes, I'm in Market Lane. I'm going to describe it too. There's sunlight coming through the big glass front windows here. It's almost like a small retail shop. Obviously everything cleared away. There's just some chairs against the walls, like a big wooden seating area in the middle. Over to the left as you're coming through the doors, it's selling coffee beans. The counter's right in front of you and the coffee machine at the back. It's a beautiful, clean and bright and sunny space. And today I'm having a pour over. Now, pour over, if you've ever been into a coffee house, you'll see these jugs, metal jugs with that kind of long spout. Essentially what you do is you put your filter paper inside a receptacle. I can't remember the name of it, and I should be able to. Anyway, you put your filter paper in, you put your coffee beans in, and then you kind of gradually pour. I'm actually doing the action as if I'm pouring it over right here, which clearly I'm not. People look at me really weird. So you pour the hot water gradually over the ground coffee, hence the name pour over, and then kind of over a period of 3 to 5 minutes the coffee drips through into a jug, and then they pour it into a mug, which they have here, and you've got a lovely cup of coffee. Now this particular pour over is a new one for Market Lane. They've given me this little rectangular card. It's green on the front. It's got like a picture of the coffee beans and the rakes that they would use when they're drying the beans. Yes, it's from Gera, which is in the Jimma zone in Ethiopia. And the card describes, I love all these cards, and they describe kind of where the coffee's from and the background. And this particular one, Gera, there's a washing station, there's a big Gera estate, and they pick coffee cherries for 350 local coffee growers. It's a big part of the economy in Ethiopia and all of these other places that I get the coffee from. Average size, about 2.5 hectares, it says here, of the plot of land where they grow the coffee. And they also grow corn, grain and bananas. So there you go. So anyway, this one's got tasting notes of melon, red apple with a black tea finish. I don't get much melon. I'm definitely getting the black tea finish. Oh, there you go. We've got a bit of red apple there as well. It's nice. It's smooth. I think sometimes with the Ethiopian coffees they taste very earthy. And by that, I don't mean it tastes like soil. just in case you're thinking, oh, you just got to cover black soil. But they just taste earthy, and I think there's a strong black tea taste to this one, which is not unpleasant. I think I like more the floral coffees, because you really get a different taste. Some of the kind of stone fruity earthy coffees, not so much. But this is nice. This is nice. Anyway, one more drink and I'll get on with it. So I'm talking about great projects. For those of you who listen to the podcast regularly, I did a podcast recently about transformation, and I had a question. I forgot the person's name. I'm so sorry. I basically said it would have been great if you could have. Or it would be great in a future podcast if you could cover actually the delivery of projects. And I went back to my podcast. I was going to send him the link to the one where I talked about delivering great projects. I haven't recorded one, and I don't know why, given how important projects are to culture. I mean, kind of projects are the way that we keep things fresh, the way we fix things. I did a podcast on why projects fail, but not necessarily on how to deliver great projects consistently well. And it's something that, my foray into project management really changed the trajectory of my career back in the mid-90s. And actually I learned so many skills from that. I don't believe enough project managers ever make it to C-suite positions. I'm not exactly sure why that. Well, I have a theory which I might discuss. Because of the breadth of skills that you actually develop over time, it's kind of the perfect breeding ground for becoming a leader. So yes, I'm going to talk about how to make projects great. Yes, they are important to culture. They're a big part of how we deliver our strategy. I talked about this in the past, but essentially, every organisation sets a vision. This is where we're headed. Usually kind of 4 to 6 words, generally something that people can remember. Used as a basis for decision making, and then from the vision we set a strategy, and these are the objectives that we have, and then within the strategy we outline our goals, and the way that we achieve our goals is through our business as usual work, the stuff that we need to do on a day-to-day basis, and our projects, the new stuff that we need to do, the stuff that we need to do to fix things that are broken, to enhance things. And projects are super, super important. Now, one of the challenges, and I discussed this on why projects fail, is the fact that organisations do far too many projects, far too many projects. Absolutely ridiculous. The organisations that are great at delivering projects, they focus on delivering fewer, better projects. And the irony of this is when you deliver fewer, better projects, you end up delivering more anyway. It's very hard to tell somebody that, and believe me, I tell a lot of people that. It's like, the overwhelming feedback is you're doing too much. Yeah, we know that. Okay, cool. Let's cancel some stuff. Yeah, no, we can't do that. Well, if you deliver fewer things at any one time, then what actually happens is that affects people's mindset, and they go, cool, I don't have as much to do, I've got more time to do this better. They get through it quicker, the quality's better, and you can do something else. It's not hard. It's not. People make it hard. So that's where projects fits in. Obviously our culture underpins business as usual and projects, but if you're a project manager, just like any manager, you've got this opportunity to build your own culture, which I'll talk about. So projects are temporary, they start, they finish. If you've got a project that just, it's just meandering on like a stream that never ends, then you need to stop it. You're either doing projects because they're important, or you're not. Plain and simple. This concept of projects on hold is a bit of nonsense. All that does is increase uncertainty. So you want to stop that, and say to people, we're not doing that anymore because it's not important right now. It might become important again, but not right now. So projects are temporary, and generally they're constrained, and we love our triple constraints in the project world. Triple constraints usually are time, cost, and scope. You've only got a certain amount of time to do it, you've only got a certain amount of money to do it, or there's only certain things that you actually want to do. And all of those things affect the quality of projects. But essentially, when you strip it down to its basic terms, there's got to be a value to doing a project. There's got to be a set of outcomes. It's got to well, I guess benefits got to increase revenue. You might want the project to decrease operational costs, so fewer people, or improve the processes and the way that you do stuff. You might want to get to market quicker. You might have a product that you want to launch. Benefits include increased market share, or improved staff or customer experience. A lot of the things we do as projects improve the employee experience. We reduce risk, or we undertake projects to comply with laws or rules or regulations. And these are kind of all of the benefits, and that's where projects start. Is you've got to understand what the benefit is, if it's tangible, whether it's intangible, but it's got to be worth doing. Again, the podcast feels like a series of obvious statements, but in order for you to deliver a project successfully, the value's got to be constant. Like the value's got to be all the way through the project, and everything that you build gets you closer to that project going live or being implemented, and being able to gain the value from it. If at any stage the value starts to bleed from the project as you deliver it, and by that I mean you might have identified that the project would save you, I don't know, $50,000, and then all of a sudden, if the project's costing you kind of $100,000 and counting, at some stage you've got to say, is it worth it? We have this myth it's called the sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy, and we all do this. We do this in our personal lives as well. Is where we've spent a certain amount of time, or we've spent a certain amount of money, and because we've done that, we feel like we have to keep going. If you've ever missed a let's say a turning on a road, you just keep driving rather than stopping and turning around. I mean, you can't do that on a freeway, but you just keep driving in the hope that, I don't know, magically you'll find a new route that nobody knows about. No, just stop, turn around, go back. But the same is true as projects, is that, we've spent 50 grand, we might as well see it through to its conclusion. Well, not if you're going to spend another 150 grand on it. So each project has to have a set of benefits, a set of outcomes. A lot of the culture programs I do with organisations who really want to make a difference and really want to change stuff, we start by outlining, we're going to make this investment, a significant investment of cost and time. So let's talk about what the benefits we can expect. Let's talk about the outcomes, and let's make sure that then we measure it and actually go and get those. They're the organisations that I love working with. It's like, yeah, let's measure this thing. I'm like, yes, let's measure it so that we know that it's improving. So once we've got the benefits and the outcomes, then we can start to break it down into things that we will do, things that we won't do in the project. So this is scope. And then from there, we can determine what we need to build, which we generally call products, and then the tasks required to build them. That's it, really. And try to be positive, and in order to do that stuff really, really well, it takes time, it requires discipline, and we need to train people on how to do it well. The biggest challenge you have with projects is we give projects to people almost as development opportunities. Now, it'll be on everyone's line, it'll be a line in everyone's job description to sort of say, manage any projects that we deem appropriate, or something like that. But it's a specific skill set in its own right. It's project management. Now, project management has become a bit of a, how can I put this? I'm trying to be diplomatic here. It's become a bit of a haven for methods and processes. I'm really trying to be diplomatic here. We've made the delivery projects all about methods. I met someone not so long ago, and I said, he's like, it's great to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, what do you do? She was like, I head up the project delivery function. I was like, oh, cool. Tell me a bit more about that. She was like, we're a Prince 2 shop. And if you don't know what Prince 2 is, it's projects in a controlled environment. It's basically a structure for delivering projects. And I said, I'm not bothered about your methods. I want to know more about the work that you do. But they've reduced it to, oh, we're all about a process. And the people that sell methods and the people that sell these structures are partly responsible for undermining project delivery. This is why I never speak at any project management institute events, because they don't like a voice that goes against the selling of programs. And don't get me wrong, that's not to say they don't do good work. Of course they do in pockets, but they're still responsible for selling programs that don't actually teach the basic skills required of people in order to deliver projects successfully. And there are three elements to great project delivery. All right, leadership, culture, and methods. Leadership piece is all about the individual. Listen, the best projects ever are a result of the person that leads it and the environment they create for others to do great work. And it's got nothing to do with the method that they use, although those methods are important, which I like to. Right? It's all about the individual. How self-aware are they? How empathetic are they? How good are they at communicating? Do they listen? Or are they too busy telling you what needs to be done? Do they show gratitude? Are they generous? Do they use stories as a way of generating motivation and inspiration? Now, as I'm going through all these, you could say, oh yeah, well, these apply to any manager. Yeah, they kind of do, but projects are a great way to hone these skills. So that sense of leadership is all about understanding yourself, building relationships with others, such that you can get to the point where you get the best out of people. Often people are doing projects and it's one of 10 things that they're doing. And as a project manager, what you have to do is help them to do your work as good as they're doing their other work, even when they're under the gun. Now, one of the things that I used to do, and I'm not ashamed to tell you this, is I used to try and make my project team culture so great that people didn't want to do their actual day job. Without a word of a lie, I'm like, how can I make, because often a lot of what we did, there was a time pressure, or there were things that were dependent on other things. So I was like, if I make the culture of this team great, they want to do this work more than they want to do their day job. And that I did that on purpose, and it worked most of the time. Most of the time it worked. And sure, there's an element of leadership there, but mainly it was about culture. So this is the second element. So leadership is the first element, being a good human being, knows how to communicate, knows how to listen, is generous with their time. Now, these people, good leaders are never too busy for you. They've always got time for other humans. But the culture piece is crucially important, because this is about the environment that's co-created so that people feel connected to something. They understand, not only do they understand the project and what it's trying to achieve, but they want to connect with the other humans. They want to deliver great work. So culture involves things like collaboration. How are we going to work together? A definition of that, And the work that I do now, it's genesis with project management, where I used to spend 2 days with my team agreeing how we would work together. Crucially important that you do that. We made time for new ideas. We socialised, but we did it during work hours, but we socialised together to strengthen those connections. We focused on kind of stakeholder management, stakeholder satisfaction. We celebrated success. I would always recognise really good behaviour. It's a good way to send a message to the team that we're looking for behaviour. We didn't have too many meetings. The meetings we did have were short and sharp. The technology that we used actually contributed to the success of the project. It didn't hold us back. I remember I was head of projects for one government department, and I threw a technology tool out because it was complicating the business of delivering projects. But someone thought it was a good idea to automate information. Listen, it's only good if it adds to the human endeavour, but it didn't. It just got in the way. And what I found was my project managers were spending hours and hours and hours filling in a system, and we got no material value at the end of it. So culture is understanding what tools you have, how are you going to use it, how are you going to stay connected, but crucially, how are you going to work with each other to achieve the goals that you've got. And then the last element of project management is that methods piece. And like any job, you can't do it effectively unless you've got the technical information. So anybody delivering projects, you've got to know how to plan. You've got to know how to plan. Sounds like a lecture now. Got to know how to play. You do. So you need to understand things like product breakdown structures and work breakdown structures. You have to do courses around the methods on maybe Prince 2, on Scrum, which is more of an agile way of working, on things like Kanban. You don't have to go on $2,000 courses. There's a bunch of online programs that you can do in order to clue yourself up. I have a project management basics, the online program that you can do. It teaches you the basics of some of these stuff. Go out there and find stuff that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. Most people are so focused on certification, they forget that actually the success of projects lies in who you are and the team that you create. A certificate is nice and it validates the technical knowledge, but that's no way to deliver projects successfully. So methods include like risk management, issue management, it includes things like facilitating a workshop. Have you ever been to a workshop that's as dull as dishwater? You ever done I do lots of facilitation because people just want a bit of a laugh and get through the day. I did a facilitation for a bank last year, and someone came up to me and said it was one of the best ever. And I said, "Oh, that's really kind of you. Why?" She said, "Because you stuck to time." I was like, wow, how bad must your workshops be that me sticking to time was one of the best things? Absolute nonsense. You have to know how to speak publicly. I don't mean on a stage in front of 1,000 people, I mean in front of a group of senior managers. You have to know how to do all of that. That's all part of that method, that's all part of that technical information. So if you want to deliver projects successfully and you want to do it regularly, you need to make sure you've got the information that you need to be able to do it well. If you're a project manager, it's a 3-step process. Build a team, build a plan, deliver the project, always in that order. Always start with the plan. Always start with the team, because the team helps you to build the plan. And only when you've got a plan can you deliver. Anything else and you're permanently firefighting, putting out spot fires left, right and centre. And when you're thinking about your own development, and if you're a leader listening to this and you want to give your people the skills to be able to deliver projects successfully all the time, not just as a one-off, then you need to think of those 3 capability development areas around leadership, so being a good human being, culture, knowing how to build a great team, and methods, providing the technical information that they need to be able to capture information and see projects through to their conclusion. I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast on project management. I look forward to talking to you soon. Ta-ra for now.